All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Tasha,
And I'm April.
and we're with the Handmade Network. Today, we're going to be talking. Oh, and April's dog. What's your dog's name, April?
Max. That's
Max.
Max.
Because I feel like Max is going to have a lot to say today.
Yeah, Max.
I love it. Today, we're going to be talking about our Etsy shops. We're going to take a look back at the year we just had, and then also just kind of going back from the beginning of when we started our Etsy journey, and then we're going to bring it up to today. How's that sound, April?
That sounds great.
That's awesome. Okay, you want to take it away?
I will take the first shot here. My name is April, and I live in North Carolina. My husband and I live on about 7 acres in central North Carolina, so we're kind of out in the boonies. And I became a hand maker back in 2005 is when I started my business, and I didn't know anything about Etsy. I didn't know anything about selling at craft shows. I was just looking for a creative outlet and was crazy enough to do it. And at that time, and I found Etsy in 2008. I was at a horrible craft show, and I was set up next to a couple of lovely makers, and they told me all about Etsy and how I should get on Etsy. And so I made all these mental notes, and I came home, and that's what I did. At the time, I had lost my job, and I was really just trying to figure out a way to stay home and not have to pay for daycare and after school care and all that stuff. And fast forward, now we're in 2022, and my son is 18 and has graduated from high school, and we have 2 other adult children, and everything has changed, and everything is still the same, all in a really strange way. So that's who I am.
That is awesome. Wow. So you've been on Etsy for 13 years, 13 and a half years.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. And I agree with you 100%, where it's like everything's different, but it's also the exact same. Okay. So I guess I'll go. My name is Tasha. I have, excuse me, I'm fighting a cold. I've been an Etsy seller since 2009. And I found Etsy when I started making jewelry back in 2008. And I just did it as something fun because, I wanted to have something that represented me. I would go shopping looking for unique pieces, and I just didn't see what I was looking for. So I started making it. And I started on Etsy in 2009. And I found it from a person. I was at Joann's. I was shopping for fabric and talking to the person that was checking me out. And she was like, you should really sell your stuff on Etsy. And I was like, what is an Etsy? That is, it's like, what is that? So I got online and I checked it out, and I was like, oh, this sounds like fun. And it was great because I knew zero about e-commerce, zero. And then let alone trying to sell handmade items to the masses and stuff. So Etsy was a great way for me to learn that entire process, everything about selling online, but also just being a hand maker, and selling my stuff, period. Like, just,
Oh yeah.
It's a whole different beast. For some reason, it seems like other items that people are already familiar with, those seem like it's easier to sell because you're not really trying to sell them on the fact that they need this thing. But a pair of fabric earrings, I don't know how I can make you feel like this is something you need in your life, But
Oh yeah.
go ahead.
Well, I think Etsy was really kind of a groundbreaking thing because when I first started making and selling things, I made an e-commerce site. Well, actually I hired a friend to help me make an e-commerce website, and it was so difficult. It was expensive and it was difficult, and we built everything from the ground up.
Mm.
And there just wasn't the resources resources to be able to have this micro business and have a platform to sell online unless you were doing eBay. And at the time, eBay really wasn't for new products. It was for, it was like a big giant garage sale.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not who I was trying to reach or where I was trying to reach them. And I ended up, I started a business and then I went back to work almost full time and put things on hold. And then when I lost my job and I ended up back at craft shows, which are just hit and miss. Like even today, you can have a craft show and sell out almost. And then the next one you go to, which is, sort of targeted at the same people, and you can sit there and twiddle your thumbs all day.
Exactly.
And Etsy really set itself apart that, we are here to sell handmade things. And they've always had a place for vintage and they've always had a place for supplies, which was great for me because I never utilized the vintage part of it, but I did sell supplies on there, which sort of got me through a lot of, until I built up momentum in my handmade business. I sold supplies, and that was sort of what allowed me to continue on this journey. And but and I think you'll agree with me. I mean, the most amazing thing about Etsy at the time was the community that came along with it.
Absolutely.
It was all of these hand makers, and you would get on the forum and the chat rooms and you could meet people and talk to people and you could ask questions and you could get help. And it just wasn't, there wasn't this sort of availability for that stuff outside of Etsy, or at least not that I knew about. So anyway, and that's how we met, is on the forums.
Yes, absolutely. Like that Etsy forum back then, it was gold. It was straight gold because there were people talking about all different types of topics. You could get help with your shop if you wanted like shop critiques or something. Then if there were business discussions that people were talking about, whether it was shipping internationally or how to make better photos but like people were talking about so many different things and they were really helpful. Of course, you had your snarky people. I don't know. It kind of feels like there are a lot more snarky people now than it used to be. But for the most part, people really wanted to help. And it really did feel like this great community. And then Etsy had so many different resources to help you. And I do believe they still have those resources. But some of those things you have to dig a little bit further to find. Before it was much easier to find. And then like treasuries, I miss those things.
I really do. Like I remember, going to like the front page of Etsy, and it was amazing. I was totally blown away by all of the amazing things that you could find on Etsy, stuff I had never seen before. Amazing artists, and I really just felt like it was somewhere fresh and new and different. And now the Etsy forums, they could be a little harsh, but I think I had some exposure with other forums before I went to Etsy, because I had done quite a bit of college online, which was way before now when everything is online. And I'd been exposed to forums that were, the Etsy forums were pretty much tame as far as people's language and expressing their opinions on the things. Now, I will say that, some of the critiques could come off really harshly. But luckily, I think some of the people that I have become friends with, and knew at the time, these were trained artists. They had gone to school to be an artist, and they would talk about their critiques in their college classes and how brutal they were. So I always try to go into those types of discussions, realizing that when people pointed things out, they were trying to help me. They were not trying to like crush my spirit. So I think coming into it with some of that perspective made a big difference to how I didn't take advice personally. I took it. I tried to be very objective when I would listen to people's advice about my shop, and that helped me a lot to be able to like take a step back and not take things personally. And that is definitely something that doesn't hit the mainstream as far as social media, is not people not taking things personally. Like, you're not being attacked personally by every person you encounter on the internet, you know.
Exactly.
And so anyway, but it's you know, that's part of that whole like everything is the same and everything is different all at one time.
Right.
So,
right.
yeah.
So with your shop, so what say the names of both of your shops, and then like how did this past year go for you?
Well, I have two shops on Etsy right now, and one is called the Pebble Pathway, and I make miniatures and things mostly out of polymer clay. My other shop is April and the Laser Beam, and that's where I make creations with my laser. I have a glow forge, and I also make files and sell some supplies for that. I haven't really gotten super into the April and the Laser Beam. I've just started to try to focus on that in the last few months. I just haven't had time. It's been busy and crazy. And so my old shop, like the shop I started Etsy with, it was called More Magnets. And I sold mostly organizational supplies and magnet boards and things like that. And I've had a couple other shops along the way. Now I don't know. I haven't added up the total sales over all the shops that I have on Etsy. I know it's over the 10,000 mark. It's somewhere. It could be up to 15,000. I really can't remember at this point.
Okay.
There's but so I started the Pebble Pathway back in 2015, and I was really just burnt out making the things I was making. And I didn't start it as a shop at all. I started making things because I just was burnt out after Christmas, and I needed to do something else before I pulled all the hair out of my head. And so I started making things, and I don't think I realized that I had this talent to make these things. Like, I just sat down and did it because I thought it looked like a fun thing to do. And then a bunch of my friends were just like, wow, I can't believe you made that. And that was an eye-opening experience for me, because I never thought of myself as an artist. Even years after that, it took me a long time to think of myself as an artist. I just thought of myself as a maker, and so it probably wasn't until the last 2 years that I actually embraced calling myself an artist in one of my shops. And so I opened the Pebble Pathway in 2015, and it was around August, September time period when I opened it. And I made 2 sales by the end of the year.
I love it.
Excuse me. And so then we went into 2016, and I was like, I just was like, I can't, like, I'm not going to be successful in this endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
And I closed my shop. Like I don't know if I closed them or if I just put them in vacation mode, but I put them in vacation mode in 2016. And I went and I got a part-time job because I was still burnt out from my other business, and I knew I needed a change. So I put all of my Etsy shops on vacation mode by May of 2016.
Okay.
And then by the fall of 2016, I realized, like, I meant to work for myself. I am meant to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
I need to get back at home and get my crap together. Whatever this funk is I am in, I need to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And take my business seriously and do something. I still didn't open the Pebble Pathway back up, though. I went back and opened up my More Magnet shop and other things the end of 2016. And maybe it was 2017 that I started making things again. And I went back to my roots and I did craft shows again. And my things were, I did craft shows only with Pebble Pathway stuff. I didn't do craft shows with maybe it was even 2018. It was a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I did craft shows and everybody loved everything. And I was like, I'm going to give this another shot on Etsy. And so it was September of 2018 when I reopened the Pebble Pathway on Etsy. And I still kind of just bumbled along. That's what I'll call it. And just bumbled along. And it wasn't until, so it was like 2019, I started really putting myself out there and joined a craft co-op where I had to submit all of my items that I was going to sell there for jury. And that was a terrifying moment to me because I had lots of respect for all of these women in this co-op. And I was just like, my stuff is just not up to snuff. And of course, their reaction to it was completely opposite of that. They loved everything I made. And that experience really gave me the confidence I needed to put this as a priority and really push ahead. And so when I went into, of course, then 2020 is like, it's like this line we draw in the sand, like 2020 came and everything was different. Everything shut down.
Right.
What are we going to do now? And so, and I think me and you had a conversation way back in 2020. And, I think I had even told you, like, I just don't know if I feel comfortable, like, making these little things, like these little things that are going to sit on people's desks. Like, we're in the middle of a pandemic and I'm making cute little things. And I think you told me that the world needed what I did. The world needed me right now. And that really meant a lot to me. I appreciate you saying that to me very much, because that really made me sort of focus. I still didn't completely focus on myself. The craft co-op I was in was a brick and mortar store only. They had very little online presence. They did have a website, but they didn't sell anything. I spent lots of 2020 helping the craft co-op make an online store, and it was a big endeavor. And so when 2021 rolled around, the end of 2020, I really started getting traction in my shop. And when 2021 came through, I definitely felt the uptick in my store. And I was like, this year is for me. Yeah. And I left the craft co-op and I focused on my shop and really on my clay shop. I had already put more magnets in vacation mode pretty much permanently. And I just started making things and listing things and selling things. And my goal at the beginning of the year was to like double my sales from the previous year. And over all of my shops, I ended up increasing my sales by like 600% or
awesome. Absolutely
ridiculous amount.
Right.
And but that's kind of that's the end of that got me to the end of last year. And so looking back, you know, I have to say, like, I applaud where I came from and how I started. And I felt like a sponge for years, that I was just soaking up all the information I could. And the lessons that I learned from that are so great. But to be able, you know, I don't think it has to take someone, you know, as many years as I've been working on it. I don't feel like it should take someone that long to learn what I've learned. I mean, it took me, I felt like it took me a long time to get the lesson. I was learning it and learning it and learning it over and over and over again, but it didn't stick until 2021. And the lesson that stuck was that I don't have to give myself to the entire world. Like, I can give I'm a mom and I will absolutely do what I need to do for my kids, you know, when they need my help. Absolutely. You know, and my husband and my parents and, you know, things like my family, I will sort of, if I need to shut things down and focus on family, I absolutely would do that. But I don't have to do that for the entire world.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
And it is not selfish. It is, you know, it is not expected of me. And it is okay if I take the time to focus on my own business and my own success.
Absolutely.
And so that's really what I got. Like, that, looking back on 2021, that was the best gift that I gave myself, is sort of putting myself on the front burner, you know.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think, like, looking back from last year, even going back 1 year before that, my sales, they were okay. Like, it was a little bit steady, but not a lot. I think when the year was over, I did a little under 5,000 in sales for the whole year. But towards the end of the year, I had discovered like doing Etsy ads. And so I started doing ads where I would do like $3 a day, $5 a day, and then just kind of build up. And then Etsy would send me messages like, hey, basically in a nutshell, they're like, we're blowing through your budget and more people can still see your stuff. You might want to consider upping it a little bit. And so I made the decision to up it to $10 a day, and I just left it. I sat it there and I left it. If they reached that budget for the day, then it would cut my ads off. But if not, then, you know, as many people as possible that could discover my stuff could discover it. And when I ended the year last year, I ended at just under 17K, like just under. And I was like, oh my God, that is amazing to go from like less than 5 to 17. Like, this is awesome. But when I first started my Etsy shop, look, my very first shop was called Ear Jeans. And it took me 2 months to get my first sale. And the first person that purchased from me was somebody I knew who wanted to buy from me in person. I said, can you just buy it through Etsy? So I have an order. And I just kept doing it. But I just remember those days. And at that time, when I had that Etsy shop, I was making everything. So it was earrings, rings, necklaces, bracelets. I did all that stuff. And when I opened this one, so now my new shop is called Made by Tasha Lorraine. And that baby is just earrings. I was like, just earrings. It was only recently that I added necklaces and bracelets for men, only because people were asking me for holiday gifts for men. So I included that. And then I always had like little gifts, so like magnets or coaster sets. For some, it went along with the stuff that I was making. So I did a few of those. So it's earrings and gifts, but that main focus is just earrings. Like, I don't know how many items I have on there, but 99% of it is earrings. But just to be able to do that focused, I'm like, that just took so much pressure off. So much pressure. So, so I'm looking forward to going into this year. I left my budget the same for my Etsy ads. And then I'm working on my descriptions for each of my products. So I'm going through those descriptions, the whole listing itself, and making sure that I'm using all the attributes and all that type of stuff. So that's what my focus is. But unfortunately, we have 1 minute and 6 seconds left of this recording. Can you believe it? So it only gave us a little bit of time. But I'm glad we did this.
And I know, it's so exciting. Well, I do want to say there is one other thing that you did last year that was super amazing and inspiring. Mm-hmm. Was your 365 collection.
Oh, yes. Making a pair of earrings every day for the whole year. Yep. That was a task. We'll have to talk some more about that one.
Absolutely.
But thank you for doing this. This is awesome.
I'm so excited.
Yes, me too. And I hope we hope that you all get some great nuggets from our conversations. We're going to keep doing this. So this is Tasha and April with the Handmade Network, and we will talk to you again soon.
Yes, bye. Have a great day.